When surface mount components first came on the market, their lower weight meant that they were more robust to vibration. And here, with Glorious Gaming, with the Model 0 Eternal, we've got a mouse which is advertised on much the same concept. Basically, lower weight, faster response time. And I got one of those as a present, and so in the following steps I will talk about it a little bit. Here we've got our box, and we see already on the front that they again explicitly mention the ultralight weight, and it ships like this. There is no sticker here, so we pull it out on the back like so, open this, it tells us to ascend. Oh, and here we've got a bit of glue which we have to cut open, so it is sealed after all. Here we go, and here we go, and now it is open, and we can pull it out, and we see this is the inside, the inner carrier here. And in addition to that, we also have a bit of advertising and this product registration sticker here. Second step is the actual mouse. Which we have here. And yes, this is something which people with a sweaty hand will not like very much, because of course the low weight is bought for by a construction which is basically webbed. And you see, wherever there is a hole, of course, there is less material, and so the mouse is much lighter. And here at the bottom, the gliding pads, you have to remove these blue things to get the optimal amount of sliding action. As a first test, we are going to do a little measurement, and we're going to compare it to my classic Logitech mouse, where we see approximately 135 grams. And next, we're going to leave the cable hanging over, and we see that with the cable in my hand, the mouse is just 56 grams. And if we put the cable on top, it should probably be about 100 grams, maybe a bit more. The next test is my table of pain, because you see here 3 completely different materials, so most sensors get some kind of trouble. And I'm just gonna plug it in here into the Windows workstation, and we see it lights up immediately. And then we can already test it. And we see we've got minor stuttering when we are here in this area. So with the shiny things, it has a bit of a problem, but when we are outside of that, the tracking is perfect. So this works pretty well, unless of course you are in an area where there's some real pain. And what is important is the DPI selection. This button here, you see, if you push it, you can change the DPI, and it confirms it by the color here on the side. Let us look at this once again. I'm powering on the workstation, and we saw the color, and now I push the button yellow, I push the button blue, I push the button red. So this is how you select the DPI. And there are also a variety of options which you can push together to change the blinking. Or alternatively, you can use a Windows software, this is Windows only, to set up all kinds of macros. Another useful aspect are these two buttons for going to the front and to the back. You can use these to scroll through the front and back stack. You see, I just went back and then I can go forward again on the web browser. This can be very useful for going through documents quickly. And of course, there is the usual pushable scroll wheel, but it does not go to the left or to the right. So only front and back and push. One interesting aspect is here at the bottom, these 4 feet. There are multiple different material options and they allow you to select how much grip the mouse will have as you throw it across your desk. And this can be very useful, especially for the needs of more advanced gamers. And to explain a little bit, what we see here, of course, is always the trade-off. This is a very light mouse, but we see there are no screws whatsoever to take it apart. First thing, of course, here, these holes. Probably they did a method, a finite element simulation, to find out how much of the material they can remove to reduce the weight. And now, the first interesting thing you ask yourself is how it is held together. And if we look through here, we see one pillar going through like this, like so. And here in the back, I think this here in the back is another such pillar. And here there is one more. And these, of course, are connected to the bottom. Here it is very likely we can find the screw easily, whereas here we would have to dig into these sliding pads, which of course would become, we would need to buy them again to get the mouse to work well again. And this is the classic trade-off. You can either build a very light product or a very easy to maintain product. And at some point, as things become very light, for example, remember the classic Palm 5, eventually repairability just has to suffer a little bit. Because if we look at it here at the bottom, where else could they have put the screw? If they would have been putting it somewhere here, they would have needed more material. So it's in the end a situation where, as we say in Austria, the cat bites into its own tail. And now it's time for a little conclusion. Not only is this mouse very interesting from a technical point of view, but the very, very low weight has a lot of advantages, especially if you, like Tamogemon Holdings, have older staff where the hand movement becomes problematic, RSI, etc. And using a mouse like this, is a very good way to alleviate the problem. In short, a product which I always give the best recommendation. And yes, I know that mice are not normally what you expect on the electrical engineering channel. However, take it from an old guy. Having a good mouse makes work so much easier, especially if you are on a laptop. And I hope that this video showed you the advantages and disadvantages of the mouse. And with that, I thank you and see you soon. Bye bye.